Gainu. So anyway, we'll go through some of the, I don't know the name, but I will read some of the things Prabhupada said about this song.
Okay.
So we can start now.
Okay.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodhanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodhanandana Rajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jashodhanandana Rajajana Ranjana Jashodhanandana Rajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Sisi Radha Madhava Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. So it was suggested by Laura from Adelaide in Australia that she would like that we discuss some songs of Narottam Das Thakur. So we have finished our spiritual bypassing, so we're going to begin with this. We'll see how it goes, see how we feel about it. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sundavare Paschatya Dastarine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pango Langayati Girim Krapa Tamaham Bande Siguru Dinatarinam Vanchakapatru Bhaschakrapa Sindhuvye Vacha Putitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I don't know if you're aware that at one point in his life, George Harrison wanted to move into the temple, shave up, become a full-time devotee. And Prabhupada said, at one time he said that, either he said it to him or he said in general, that George Harrison had done more to spread the holy name than any of us. So Prabhupada said, no, use your talents, use your skills in music for spreading Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada said, there's so many songs you could sing. And then Prabhupada showed him the song we're going to discuss today, which is a song by Narottam Das Thakur. Narottam Das Thakur is a great kirtaniya and a great poet who lived shortly after the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who Lord Chaitanya knew was coming and had put his prema in a river in Narottam. When he bathed in that river, got that prema, and that was all planned out. And he developed a specific style of kirtan, bhajan. And often, at least as we know today, music has a great effect on people, the words of songs. So it was one of the ways that preaching happened. It's interesting because in our tradition, you see the songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, those are very simple songs, like we could call them folk songs. And sometimes in kirtan, the devotees would sing those songs. They were singing to the people. They were telling the people, wake up, stop sleeping in the lap of Maya. So they were preaching, quote unquote, through kirtan in the street to people. So this was a tradition. Narottam Das Thakur wrote many songs about his own life. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also about his own struggles, other great Vaishnavas. So they either write songs to the people or about themselves, representing the people, representing the struggles. So it's kind of interesting. We sometimes we sing these bhajans, but we really haven't adopted that style so much where someone gives a Sunday feast lecture and sings like 8 songs, explaining the philosophy. But that's kind of, in a sense, what they were doing. And, we don't know Bengali, so sometimes when we sing the songs, we don't really enter into it because we don't know what we're singing. But we should, if we're going to sing the songs, we should know. I just read a story where one devotee was outside Prabhupada's room and he was singing a bhajan and then he stopped and she could hear him crying. So it's very deep. Parama Karuna Bahudvijana, the 2 lords, Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, the Supreme Mercy. So Prabhupada was singing that, just meditating on it, getting deeply involved in the emotion. So music is powerful. This song that we're going to discuss today, I actually sang it in English. If you go to Mahatma's music, which should now be on mahatmadas.com, and you go to English songs or unreleased songs, it's there. It begins, although I've taken birth. No, anyway, maybe, why don't I just play it for you? What do you think? Yeah, you get an idea in English. So let me find that song. Just give me one moment. I produced USB sticks, and all these songs are on those USB sticks. So songs in English, okay. I titled it Drink Poison. Okay, so I have to share it, and you're going to have to tell me that you're hearing it. Share sound. Let's see what happens. Although taking human birth finally, oh Lord, I spent my life uselessly. I haven't worshipped your lotus feet, thus I drank poison as if it were sweet. Thus I drank poison as if it were sweet. Oh no, no. Attraction from chanting never came. Day and night So I'm going to share on the screen now the words because I don't know if you were able to understand them. That recording was done, must have been in like 1996 or something. And the reason I probably should redo it, it wasn't recorded with good equipment, but I did it because Prabhupada said that was his favorite song. So I'll just read it. This is me putting it a little poetically. Although taking human birth finally, oh Lord, I've spent my life uselessly. I haven't worshipped your lotus feet. Thus I drank poison as if it were sweet. And the oh, no, no, no was not Narottam Das Thakur. That was a little, you know, a little icing there. The treasure of prema is found in your name, but my taste for chanting is a shame. Day and night, my heart burns from desire, but I never try to put out the fire. The son of the king of Braja became the son of Sachi, Lord Chaitanya, and Balaram became Lord Nitai. The holy names delivered Jagai and Madhai. O Lord Krishna, son of Nanda, with the daughter of Vrishabhanu, please be merciful to me today. Please do not push me away. And then we sang the first verse again. Okay, so as I said, this was Prabhupada's favorite song. And it embodies the predicament of the conditioned soul who is drinking poison thinking it's nectar. And that's our unfortunate situation, drinking the world of selfishness and sense gratification, personal pleasure, and so forth, thinking this is nectar, and giving up the real nectar of our relation with Krishna and love, which we're all hankering for. So I am going to go to the database, and we're going to read some things that Prabhupada has said about this song. And I think we'll see some patterns. And I should have done this study beforehand, so this is kind of spontaneous, so there may or may not be any kind of systematic idea, but we'll get to hear from Prabhupada, which is always important. So this is from the 9th canto, 9th chapter, text 28. If you like, I can share my screen, and that way you can see. I'm assuming you can all see, is that correct? Is it readable, big enough? Yeah, okay. If it's not, get out your glasses. Okay. O King, I mean, I can make it bigger if needed, just scream. O King, O hero, this human body is meant for universal benefits. If you kill this body untimely, you will kill all the benefits of human life. Purport. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung Hari Hari Bipale Janama Gaino. Gonaino. Manusha Janama Pai Radha Krishna Nabajya. Janiya Shunya Visha Kaino. Hari Hari Bipale Janama Gaino. Manusha Janama Pai Radha Krishna Nabajya. Janiya Shunya Visha Kaino. You may have heard that before. So this is Prabhupada's explanation. The body of a human being is extremely valuable because in this body one can understand the instructions of Krishna and attain the ultimate destination of the living entity. Excuse me. The living entity is within the material world to fulfill the mission of going back home, back to Godhead. In the material world, one hankers for happiness. But because one does not know the ultimate destination, one changes bodies one after another. This is not centered, is it? For some reason. However, if one gets the opportunity to possess a human form of body, in this body, he can fulfill the four principles of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. And if one is properly regulated, he makes further progress after liberation to engage in the service of Radha and Krishna. This is the success of life, to stop the process of repeated birth and death and go back home, back to Godhead. Mam 80, that's from Bhagavad Gita. To be engaged in the service of Radha and Krishna. Therefore, taking a human body is meant for completing one's progress in life. Throughout human society, killing of a human being is taken very seriously. Hundreds and thousands of animals are killed in slaughterhouses, and no one cares about them. But the killing of even one human being is taken very seriously. Why? Because the human form of body is extremely important in executing the mission of life. So I just read something really, really powerful a few days ago I want to share with you. I'm going to leave this up because I'll be referring to it. The human body, first thing, human body is extremely valuable. This whole explanation is about the value of human life. So a question was asked to Prabhupada, if we don't become Krishna conscious, will you come back to save us? And Prabhupada slammed his fist on the desk and said, do not make me come back to save you. So as we know, this was a reoccurring theme in Prabhupada's preaching, at least to his devotees. Do not come back, finish your business. And as we've mentioned so many times, Prabhupada said, if you chant 16 rounds and follow the four principles, 16 rounds without offense, you can go back to Godhead in this lifetime. So these two themes are really foundational to Prabhupada's preaching. You can go back to Godhead if you do this, so do it. Don't make me come back, finish your business in this life. And so this purport here is kind of underscoring it in a slightly different way about the value of human life. And so when Prabhupada makes this point, human form of life is extremely important. It's also rare because there's more living entities who are not humans than humans. So, you know, Narottam Thakur, what he's trying to show is that you can do so many things of value, but you know, there's so many things that we think are valuable. And, you know, people are doing this and helping people do that and curing people, and they are of value, but it's at the expense of not becoming self-realized, not becoming Krishna conscious. And so sometimes it was hard for people to understand when Prabhupada was asked, why don't you open hospitals? Why don't you encourage your devotees to become doctors and do welfare work and so on? And it's not that we didn't do that. It's not that we would let people suffer if we could help them. It's not that we didn't feed people. But Prabhupada's point was, that's not our mission. There are already hospitals. That's their mission. Our mission is different. Our mission is, you know, okay, I can cure somebody, but they're still going to die. But if I can save them from dying, there'll be nothing to cure in the next life because they'll be with Krishna. So some people didn't understand that. And even as devotees, sometimes we misunderstand that. You know, sometimes Prabhupada will be putting down something which to us seems like it's good or it's not bad at least. And so you have to understand the context. Why is he putting it down? Not because in and of itself it's bad, but in the broader scheme of things, it's blocking self-realization. So that's the focus becomes that. So, you know, don't waste your human life for anything other than going back to Godhead. That's the message. And so if we are fully aware that sense gratification is poison because it's killing our spiritual life, then it's not that difficult to give it up. It's when we forget that and we think, but this is pleasurable, but I like doing this. No, but doing that in a sense, you're just preparing your next life. And you could be going back to Godhead, but by doing this, you're preparing your next life. What a great loss, right? So if we understand Prabhupada's preaching in that context, or as I often say, if you understand Prabhupada's preaching from the context of someone who's descended from the spiritual world, or someone who's seeing Krishna in the spiritual world, and he's trying to explain that to people, he's going to say things like, what's going on in this world it's valueless. There's nothing good. All these kinds of things that to us are harsh or not politically correct, or why would he say that, and so forth. When you understand where he's coming from, then it all makes sense. And, it's interesting because there's a lot of things that Prabhupada says, not a lot of things, but there's some things that Prabhupada says that nowadays people look at and they think, wow, that's really controversial. That seems racist or sexist or whatever. And I agree with them, but then it seems like that, not that it is. And then I think, but when Prabhupada was here, nobody ever thought that, because we understood the context of where Prabhupada was coming from. It was very obvious that he was not racist or sexist, but it was obvious he was trying to extricate people. And sometimes to extricate someone who's glued very tightly to something, you really have to pull hard, or you have to change the paradigm. This is not what you're doing. It's not important. It's important relatively, but it's not absolutely important, not important enough to ruin your spiritual life. So that's how we're able to become so self-disciplined and give up so many things, because we're giving it up for something infinitely greater. And then, relatively speaking, that thing that we like starts to look like poison rather than nectar, because it's getting in the way of our self-realization. Maya's position is to make everything look like nectar and cause us to forget everything about spiritual life. And it's like experience that we've all had, where sometimes we get illusioned by something. And every class we ever heard and every bit of spiritual information, at that point, it's not accessible to us. It's like a bank account that is just frozen. It's like Maya comes and freezes your account. And although you're rich, right now you're poor. And it's Maya, like Davyeshu Gunamaya, you can't cross over Maya. How can you deal with someone who can erase your memory in like a second? And as Prabhupada always gave the example of the pigs eating stool and enjoying it. But what's that example for? That he's trying to make the point that our sense gratification is really no different from the angle of Krishna and the liberated soul than it is for us to see a pig eating stool. It's the same thing. It looks just as bad. So if you have that context, it's easier to give up things. Like we have prayers, I believe Raghunath Das Goswami who said that pride is like to him is like bathing in donkey urine. It is so despicable. But for us, pride is enjoyable. It gives us energy and strength. We feel better. I'm better than you. It makes me feel good. And so we're supposed to, if we change the context and start thinking, this is all like a pig eating stool. This is all just poison. And I'm so foolish that I'm enjoying it, that people are glorifying me and I'm feeling really good by bathing in donkey urine. There's something wrong with me. So that's the context of this song. And it's a nice meditation. I'm drinking poison. It's killing me. And Maya has bewildered me so much that I think it's nectar. Now, we've talked a little bit about Maya's potency in terms of covering. That's one of her potencies, is covering. Throwing and covering. This is what she throws you into illusion, and then she keeps you in illusion by covering you so that you can't see what the Shastras are saying. Even though you read them, you can't see it. That's pretty powerful, right? You read Bhagavad Gita, you don't agree with it, you can't see it, or you're a devotee and you go, I don't care, I just want to enjoy. This is Maya's covering. So Maya will make us foolish. She'll make us drink poison and think, but it tastes good. I like it. Like smoking a cigarette, you know. What do they say? Fire on one end and a fool on the other end. Yeah. So it's like that. So Maya will make you a fool, and Prabhupada will make you intelligent. Krishna will make you intelligent. Bhagavatam will make you intelligent. So that's the idea. Okay, so I'm going to, you know, the beautiful thing about Krishna consciousness is that everything I'm saying, we've all experienced, right? It's not some foreign thing. We know what illusion is. We know what it means to become stupid because we've all done it. Right? You agree? Maya covers us and we just forget everything. Like, it's amazing. It's like Prabhupada said, in the story of Devahuti and Kapila, in a purport, Prabhupada said, when a man is in the arms of a beautiful woman, he forgets everything about spiritual life. It was in relation to Devahuti and Kardama were enjoying, like, I don't know how many years, a long time. And so Prabhupada made that point that even though he's a great sage, when you get in a certain situation, the illusion can become so strong, you can forget. You can just forget, as I say, forget all your shlokas. There's a rough, tough brahmachari, knows 10,000 shlokas, but when the apsara walks in front of him, he forgets all his shlokas. Yeah, so our question for today is, have you forgotten your shlokas? Did anything cause you to forget your shlokas? Or reverse it for the ladies, for the handsome guy with the big muscles. Did you forget all your shlokas? Prabhu, I never remembered any in the first place. Yeah, well, now you're in double trouble. At least you have hope if you remember them, if you learn them. Yeah. So never underestimate the power of Maya. Always be aware of Maya's power. Never underestimate the power of Krishna's mercy to save you, to guide you, to inspire you. So let's continue reading. So are you seeing the screen right now? Is that? Yes, you're seeing the screen? Or should I?
No, I think you need to share again.
Yeah, okay, I'll share it again. When I start talking, okay, there we go. So this is, it's a long purport, so we'll just start with the song. The opportunity for this purification is the special feature of human life. In other lives, this is not possible. Such purification can be achieved very easily by Radha Krishna bhajan, devotional service rendered to Radha and Krishna. And therefore, Narottam Das Thakur sings, Hari Hari Pipale Janama Ganaino. Hari Hari Pipale Janama Ganaino. Oh. That's Bengali student. Indicating that unless one worships Radha Krishna, one's human form of life is wasted. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha. Janayasu Bharagyam. 127. By engagement in the service of Vasudeva, one very quickly renounces material life. This verse says that Vairagyam is produced by bhakti as a natural consequence. The members of the Krishna consciousness movement, for example, being engaged in Vasudeva Bhakti, very quickly come to the stage of being nice Vaishnavas. So much so that people are surprised that Malechas and Yavanas are able to come to this stage. Congratulations to all you Malechas and Yavanas out there listening to class today. You are successful. You've become devotees. I should say all of us, milichas and yamanas. This is possible by Vasudeva Bhakti, but if we do not come to the stage of sattva guna in this human life, then as Narottam Das Thakur sings, Hari Hari Bipale Janama Ganainu, there's no profit in gaining this human form of life. So we'll continue reading. 2 more paragraphs. Sri Vira Raghava Acharya comments that each of the items mentioned in the first half of this verse is a cause for material entanglement. Should we go back? See what those items are. Oh, it's verse 53, wrong direction. Lord Brahma saw that Kala, the time factor, Swabhava, one's own nature by association, Samskara, reformation, Kama, desire, Karma, fruitive activity, and the gunas, 3 modes of nature, their own independence being completely subordinate to the potency of the Lord, had all taken forms and were also worshiping those Vishnu Murtis. So he's saying that all these things, of course, could be used in Krishna service, but usually they're forms of entanglement. Okay. The items mentioned in the first half of this verse is a cause for material entanglement. Kala, or the time factor, agitates the modes of material nature. And Swabhava is the result of association with these modes. Therefore, Narottam Das says, Bhakta Sanivas. If one associates with bhaktas, then one's Swabhava or nature will change. Our Krishna consciousness movement is meant to give people good association so that this change may take place. We actually see that by this method, people all over the world are gradually becoming devotees. So Prabhupada's intention when he started the Krishna conscious movement initially was not to establish temples, it was to preach and distribute books. So Prabhupada said, oh, people are coming, so we needed a place for a sangha, for people to gather. I mean, Prabhupada wasn't sure entirely that people would become devotees, or at least full-time. So after Prabhupada started temples and people were becoming devotees, and Prabhupada was seeing this amazing change in the lives of his disciples, it was just a confirmation of everything Prabhupada already knew, that Krishna consciousness could do this. But Prabhupada understood that it wasn't going to happen unless his disciples were following the morning program strictly, and therefore living a pure life and giving their association to others. And if we both have the temple and the example of devotee, so then anyone, if they put themselves in that environment and has faith in the process, would become a devotee. Conversely, even those who accept the philosophy, if they don't have the proper sangha environment, then they're going to have difficulty, or they will lose their Krishna consciousness. So it's an important fact. We know this fact, but it's an important fact to remind ourselves that we are becoming what we are becoming according to our environment. We are becoming. That's environment of people and circumstances. So if our environment is sattvic, then there's sattvic energy in our life, and then we become sattvic, obviously. You go through each mode. So if I tend to struggle with the mode of passion, then I should question, is my life in the mode of passion? Is that's what's happening? It's just, there's this like symbiotic relationship between me and Rajaguna. Like I like Rajaguna, Rajaguna likes me. But I don't want to stay in Rajaguna. So now what? So what do I do? So I have to, if I am entangled in passion or ignorance, how am I going to get out of that unless I create a sattvic environment and I associate with devotees who are not in those modes? And I limit my association only to necessary engagements with people who are in those modes. And I don't allow myself into environments that are passionate and ignorant, because I have if I have the tendency, then it's going to have a very strong effect on me. But I create sattvic environments, and then as a consequence, there's nothing more I have to do. If I just have a sattvic lifestyle, which means I get up early, I chant my rounds and so forth, I'm careful about what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing. And if I'm just doing that, then everything else will come. I don't have to do any more than that. If I don't do that, then I'll always be battling with passion and ignorance. And so then my life becomes difficult. So I make it difficult for myself by my association. So if I have tendencies for certain things which are unhealthy, I should make sure that I'm not ever in situations which would cause those tendencies to become aroused. And you can just say that's just intelligent. And we don't have enough strength to resist it, but we have enough strength to not be in that environment. That's the strength we have. So if you have enough strength to limit yourself from environments that would cause you to fall, you don't need the strength to resist, because then there won't be anything to resist because you won't be in that environment. That just makes sense, right? So that's extremely important. Like I want to go on a diet, but I don't have the strength to resist certain foods. Well, that's easy. Just don't have them in your house. Yeah, but then I'll go to the store and buy them. Well, then if that's your case, you're really tightly bound by ignorance. But the hope would be that if you had enough common sense and strength to give all that junk food away, that you're going to maintain that. And then if you just maintain that, you don't have to fight it anymore. And then the other side of that, as we know, is you have to have good food to eat that can replace it. You know, I've been put on a diet where every day for me is Ekadasi. I don't eat any grains. I don't eat any sugar, not even sugar and fruit. It's like you think, well, how could you do that? And I've been on this diet for like 2 months. No grains every day. I don't eat any grains. It's like, whoa, what do you eat? You know, and no mangoes, no bananas, no apples, no sugar, no maple, no honey. I can have stevia. All right. So how do I do it? I can have stevia and monk fruit for sugar, and I can eat berries. And I get creative with cooking. Yesterday, I took an almond. We have the almond chapatis we get here, almond chapati. Put tomatoes on it, zucchini, peppers, a little cheese, and I baked it in the oven. That was my pizza. So you might think, well, what do you eat? How can you do that? It's a little austere, but you get creative. And so you kind of replace it. I made khichdi. I'm cooking all the time now because I have to eat something, so I have to cook it. I made khichdi with buckwheat. There's this buckwheat that has absolutely no flavor at all. So I cooked it with beans and vegetables, and you could hardly tell it wasn't khichdi. So obviously, if you want to create this sattvic environment and maintain it, you have to have sattvic activities that are satisfying. It has to be replaced. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita. That was the verse Prabhupada quoted. Janayati asu vairagam. It produces, it gives birth to vairagya, renunciation, bhakti. So, as I've said many times, when COVID started, I forget what the class was. Maybe it was when we were talking about Maya. I was saying over and over again, to be Krishna conscious, you have to be intelligent. You can't be dull-brained and be Krishna conscious. I think that's obvious. And when Prabhupada was asked, why does somebody take to Krishna consciousness and somebody not? We all wonder. Were they devotees in their last life? Was it because of us? What is it? Was the temple clean and the incense was nice and the pakoras were good and that's why they became devotee? What is it? And Prabhupada always said, If they're intelligent and they're fortunate, they'll become devotees. So what does intelligent mean? It means you have enough common sense that when something is good, something is right, you see it and you do it. And well, you say you understand it, you accept it, and if you're fortunate, then you'll do it. And so to be Krishna conscious, we have to be intelligent 24/7. Because as soon as your intelligence gets dull, Maya comes in and does her number on you, does her dance on you. And I don't think, there's no way around this. We have to have that kind of intelligence. So whatever your weakness is, you distance yourself from it. You create a sattvic environment as far as possible. You do that. That is much easier than trying to battle those sweets and ice cream in your refrigerator every time you open the door and see them. That's much more difficult. It's just, oh, I have to get rid of them. How will I live with that? Just get rid of them. That'll be easier than looking at them every day, right? Because once you get rid of them, it's out of sight, out of mind. You can put in your vegan ice cream, with stevia or something. You'll be fine. And if you don't do this, ladies and gentlemen, Prabhus and female Prabhus, papas and mamas, you're going to have trouble. It's your fight, it's not strategic way to fight. Okay, we'll answer your questions in a while. Let's go back to database. What base are you on? First, second, or third? I'm on Veda base. The safest base to be on. So we're reading, this paragraph begins, as for Samskara. As for Samskara or reformation, this is possible by good association. For by good association, one develops good habits, and habit becomes second nature. Therefore, bhakta sanibhas. Let people have the chance to live with bhaktas, then their habits will change. In the human form of life, one has this chance. But as Narottam Das Thakur sings, Hori Hori Pipale Janama Ganainu. If one fails to take advantage of this opportunity, one's human life is wasted. We are therefore trying to save human society from degradation and actually elevate people to the higher nature. Now, one thing that we're seeing here, this is Bhagavatam. We're reading from. Prabhupada is quoting this song a lot. And, normally you would think, okay, the Guru is speaking, he's quoting Gita, he's quoting Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. But you see that Prabhupada often quotes the songs of Narottam Das Thakur to establish a Siddhanta. And what is our understanding? Prabhupada one time said the songs of the Acharyas are as good as the Vedas because they're self-realized. So, what is coming out of the heart of the pure devotee, it's as good as the Vedas. Why? Because it's perfect knowledge. And also, what are the Vedas other than the words of different rishis? So, that become encapsulated in those scriptures that Vyasadeva compiled, but it doesn't mean that the rishis afterwards are any less. And of course, the pure devotees, they're giving the essence. Okay, so we'll go to the next one. Let's see what it says. We just read that. Now we go. I should search, but I don't know how to spell this. Hold on. Don't go. There we go. So we'll get 16. Okay. Teachings of Lord Kapila. We have to understand that we receive different bodies due to our sinful actions. Now we are given a chance to execute
It's not clear.
I couldn't understand what you said.
Your
I
sound
think
has some
The audio
interference.
wasn't clear, but now it's good.
it's the internet. Yeah. The bogus internet. Okay. Yeah. I will try it again. We have to understand that we receive different bodies due to our sinful actions. Now we are given a chance to execute our duty in the human form. Bahunam janmanam ante. We have received this body through the evolutionary process, and this human form is a great opportunity. Narottam Das Thakur sings, Hari Hari Bibale Janama Gwainainu. My dear Krishna, Lord Krishna, I have simply wasted time. Why? Manusha Janama Paya Radha Krishna Nabajiha Janiya Shaniya Isha Kainu. Visha means poison. Because I've received the human form of life, which is meant for understanding Krishna, yet I have simply wasted my time by not taking advantage of this opportunity. I've done everything but worship Radha Krishna. Therefore, I have taken poison knowingly. When one takes poison knowingly, he commits suicide, and not taking advantage of the human form of life is something like that. So you remember whenever I talk about self-compassion, I give this example that Prabhupada often talks about spiritual suicide. And so killing yourself physically or killing yourself spiritually, killing your spiritual life. You don't take advantage of the opportunity, you're killing your spiritual life. It's a kind of suicide. If we do not understand Krishna in this life, we are knowingly taking poison. This material life is just like a blazing forest fire. Eating, sleeping, enjoying sex, and defending are the main material activities. When we are engaged simply in these things, our hearts are always burning as if we had taken poison. How can we be cured? So this is part of the song. Golakera prema dhana harinam shankirtana ratina janmila kenitai. Golokera premadana means that the gift of prema comes from Goloka, and that gift is Harinam Sankirtan. My dear Lord, you have given us the medicine of Harinam Sankirtan, the chanting of Hare Krishna. Unfortunately, I have no attraction for your holy names. Can you relate to that? You've given the gift of prema, but I don't want it. Like something's wrong with me. I don't want it. After class, you can go look in the mirror and say, something's wrong with you. You've been given the gift of love of Krishna and you don't want it. So the song continues. Brajendra Nandana Jay Sachi Suta Hoilo Se Balaram Hoilo Nitai. Krishna has now come as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the son of Mother Sachi, and Balaram has come as Lord Nityananda. What is their business? They are delivering all kinds of sinful men simply by chanting Hare Krishna. And what is the evidence of this? The evidence is that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu delivered the sinful Jagai and Madhai. At the present moment, everyone is like Jagai and Madhai. For everyone is intoxicated and mad after sex. Have you noticed that? Everyone's mad after sex. You noticed it also. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's where it all ends up, right? the whole center point of the material world, it all ends up in sex. That's why pornography there's more pornography on the internet than anything else. And in movies, why is it in so many movies? It sells. It's what's on everyone's mind. It's like the culmination. What a curse. Now, by the grace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, thousands of Jughais and Madhais are being delivered. It is this active medicine, this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, that is doing it. It is the perfect yoga system. The process is not manufactured, and we have not concocted anything. Our business is simply to accept the words of Krishna as they are. Sri Krishna himself characterizes his devotee in this way. Sitatam kirtyantamam. Yatandascha dridha vrataha namasyantaschamam. Bhaktya. Nitya yukta upasate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls, perpetually worship me with devotion. 9:14. Let's read a little more. Keep the train of thought going. We do not need to be very learned. Our only requirement is that we receive the blessings of the Lord. The Lord's blessings will enable us to become learned and follow his instructions. We need only stick to this Krishna consciousness movement on the basis of Bhagavad Gita. When we are a little further advanced, we can reach Srimad Bhagavatam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself has opened the way with his Sankirtan movement. The entire world is in darkness without Krishna consciousness. And in this age, people are so dull that they do not even know the difference between mukti, liberation, and bandha, bondage. There's a Sanskrit word for you, bandha, bondage. That's easy to remember. Prabhu, you're in Maha Bandha. If a human being does not know this difference, he is no better than an animal. Okay, so now we have this heavy statement. He's no better than an animal. And, you don't want to go out on the street and like a Christian preacher. You're all animals. You all go into Patala Loka. You're just like dogs and hogs and asses, all of you. So we don't recommend going on a street corner and screaming that out. And so if we don't recommend that, then why is Prabhupada saying this? Well, he's actually repeating the Bhagavatam. Unless you're within the system of Varnashram where you're gradually elevating yourself, you're not actually considered officially yet an official human being. They haven't officially been accepted as human being. Now, for us, that sounds kind of brash because there's so many nice people and spiritual people out there. But, and that's true. But a lot of that is like borderline, because a lot of so-called spiritual people do a lot of things which by Vedic standards would be accepted as not spiritual. But to take the blow away, make it a little softer, the Vedas also say that unless you have a guru, you're not a human being. Because if you don't have a guru, that means you don't have guidance in your life, spiritual life. So if you don't have a guru, you're in ignorance. You can't be guided. And so you're like an animal in the sense that when you die, you haven't made any spiritual progress. So that's the idea. So someone's an animal. How is that? You didn't make any spiritual progress in your life, neither did your dog. Well, if your dog took prasadam, he might be better off than you. So not you as a devotee, but someone else. So that's the idea. So let's read one more quote. These are all from lectures. Even though there's redundancy, and it's nice to hear Prabhupada speaking on the same verse in different contexts just to see what he says. Because then you get the idea, even if we're just hearing this, it becomes clear. And I think this helps us understand the context in which Prabhupada is speaking and why he often says people are animals, which is it's a harsh thing to say. Human life is meant for worshiping Krishna. Narottam Das Thakur sings Hari Hari Bipale. Janama Janama Ghaina Gunainu Gunan. Hari Hari Bipale Janama Gunainu. My life is spoiled. Why? Manusha Janama Pai Radha Krishna Bhajya Janya Shania Vishakaina. Having attained a human birth, I failed to worship Radha and Krishna, and so have knowingly drunk poison. We are trying to stop people from drinking poison. The Krishna consciousness movement is for everyone's benefit. It is the topmost humanitarian movement to make everyone happy, to make everyone immortal, to make everyone peaceful, to make everyone wise. So there's another statement which appears, can appear fanatical or sectarian. It is the topmost humanitarian movement because if you can bring someone back to Krishna, I mean, what better service could you do to somebody? And if you do so many wonderful things for someone, but you haven't helped them spiritually, in the broadest sense, you've really failed them. That's why it says, don't become a mother or father if you can't deliver your children. Don't become a teacher. Don't become a relative. Don't become any kind of leader or authority if you can't deliver someone, because you're actually committing violence. Krishna says that one who does not surrender to him is Narottam, the lowest of mankind. Another heavy statement. Sometimes people would object when Prabhupada said this, but it was not uncommon. So, though you're so heavy, you're calling people rascals and lowest of mankind and fools. And Prabhupada would always say, I'm not saying, Krishna's saying, I'm just repeating. So if you ever get accused, you say, well, I'm just repeating what's in Bhagavad Gita. Excuse, I don't mean to offend anybody. I'm just repeating what it says there. This is what Krishna says. And that's, of course, our job. Of course, time, place, and circumstance. Sometimes you have to be careful what you say, to who you're saying it and how you're saying it. But if Prabhupada was accused, this is what he would say. Oh, how is he Narottam? Narottam means lowest. The lowest of the Naras, the lowest of people. How is he Narottam? He is an MA, a PhD, a DHC, a THC. I don't know what a DHC is. Maybe Prabhupada was just making that up, a THC. THC sounds like a drug. He's taken a lot of drugs. Oh, that's TLC or whatever. He's got degrees. How is he Narottam? Maya apaharita jnana. His knowledge has no value because he does not know Krishna. These MAs and PhDs will not help you. Krishna says, one who does not worship me has no knowledge. Oh yeah, so you're on your deathbed. Call all the PhDs in the world. Can they help you? I don't know. Why? If one remains obstinately adverse to surrendering to God, what is the value of his knowledge? He has no knowledge. Yeah. So, it's like, okay, you know a lot, but you don't know enough to get me out of the material world. So that's why, these statements are so strong. Because from Prabhupada's perspective, he's not, so you have to understand, he's not attacking the people, and it's not that Prabhupada thinks, oh, these people are bad people. But what he thinks is when someone doesn't know the absolute truth and they pose themselves as teachers, they're misleading people. They may be innocently doing that, but still it's being done. And this was very concerning to Prabhupada, that the whole world is in darkness and the so-called leaders and PhDs and so forth are keeping them in darkness. And this is a tragedy for the world. Some devotees are writing me and telling me, what's going on with the vaccination, this, that, and the next thing. And I always say that, there's a lot worse things happening, like people are in ignorance and going to take birth as animals. That's much worse than vaccinations causing some people to get sick, or our brains are going to dissolve in 3 years if we got a vaccination. That would be a tragedy if it happened. But the bigger tragedy is the ignorance. So it's not really the job of the Krishna consciousness movement to be into vax or not into vax, but it's really the job of our movement to save people from repeated birth and death. That's where we should be focusing. Therefore, Krishna says, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Gyanavan Mam Prapadyate. After many births of struggling to cultivate knowledge, one who is actually wise surrenders to Krishna. My dear Lord Krishna, for so long I have forgotten you, not knowing that my only business is to surrender to you. But today I surrender. Please protect me. That is intelligence. Okay, so let's look at some questions. And if there's more time, we will go back and we will read some more. We will read more about the fools and rascals. These words Prabhupada uses. That's funny. We were told in India, if you call someone a rascal, that's like about it's the lowest thing you can call someone is a rascal. Did you know that? It's like the lowest word. Yeah. Fools and rascals. Why are they rascals? Because they're misleading people. That's why. You know the story? We may have told the story. The Hinduism professor, and Prabhupada said, what is Hinduism? And he said, well, it's difficult to say. Which is true. If you're not a devotee and you're just an academic, Hinduism is vast. He probably meant, well, you can't pinpoint it as one thing. And so Prabhupada chastised him. You're a professor and you're teaching something and you don't know what it is. That's cheating. So that was the position Prabhupada was coming from. Na guru syat. Don't become a guru unless you can deliver. 5th canto Bhagavatam. Don't become a guru unless you can deliver your disciples. Don't become a parent. Na janani. Don't become a relative. Don't become anything where you're going to give guidance to people unless you can guide them out of birth and death. Okay, so Gopinath wants to get a PhD. Nothing is bad, Gopinath. It's just how you use it. Gopinath says, regarding Maya, what if something is, the Srimad Bhagavatam doesn't make sense to us? Like Brahma appearing from a lotus flower. Is that an allegory? Yeah, all right. Well, it's not an allegory. Nothing in Bhagavatam is an allegory unless it says it in the Bhagavatam that this is an allegory. Like sometimes it says that here's an allegory, the guru will say, I'm going to teach you this with an allegory, with a story that never happened, a fairy tale. But unless it says it, our position is, okay, I'm one very tiny living entity in the ocean of the universe, which is unlimitedly vast with unlimited living entities. And my experience of this world is limited. So I'm not really in a position to question the stories in Bhagavatam because I don't have that experience. Oops. I don't have experience of many things. So we are meant to accept the Bhagavatam as a reality and then try to understand that reality. Brahma appears on a lotus flower. That lotus flower is coming out of the body of Vishnu. How can a lotus flower come out of the body of somebody? All right, well, how can planets float in space? How can a big ship float on the water? And why does a pin sink? I mean, this is all Krishna's arrangement, right? How can you even be alive as a human being? It's so complicated, right? So there's when you think about it, there's a lot you take for granted that if you never saw, you wouldn't believe. Like if you never saw a human being, with a sophisticated brain, if you were an ape and you thought, apes are the ultimate end of evolution, how could you even believe that human beings, who could create spaceships and do some cars and, talk philosophy, you couldn't even conceive of that, right? With your ape brain. So they're higher beings. And so we as human beings, we're not the highest, not earthly human beings. So there's a lot we can't conceive of, like Siddha and Siddhaloka, they can travel from planet to planet. And Prabhupada said they can do that just like we walk. It's just normal. And we're thinking, how could you travel planet to planet? Do it with mantra, this, that. What experience do we have of that? So we have a gross physical body and gross senses and pretty gross consciousness until we're more elevated. So our ability to see is restricted according to the body, the mind, and the level of consciousness. So there are things right now happening in front of your very eyes. You can't even see them. They're too subtle. There are forces working. You can't see them. They're too subtle. They're dimensions of the universe we can't see. We only see 3. So to not believe in something because I can't see it is kind of like an admittance of guilt in a sense. I don't believe this. Yeah. Okay, that's an admittance of guilt. I don't have the ability to want to see this reality. That's really the way we should see it. Does that make sense? Gopinath? Yeah. Anuradha says, when a devotee struggles to stop doing things that are in tamagun, how can we help them? Or is it a battle that only they need to fight? No, we can help them. And I would say the answer is what I said, is help them create an environment in which they're surrounded by good association and they're surrounded by a sattvic environment and sattvic people. Because a lot of times people are too weak to fight their own nature, but if they're around other people who don't have that nature, then they don't have to fight it because those other people will carry them. And if they create environments, or they can be in environments which are healthy, then they'll transcend it. Like you can go to Holy Dham, or you can go to a festival, or a Rath Yatra, or a retreat. And then once you get in that environment, all those influences of tamas and rajas, they're gone. They're not in that environment, so you're not affected by it. And so then when you go back home, you try to create that environment, and you try to get good association. That's essential. If we don't have good association, we will tend to just be who we are and be more of who we are. And we will reinforce our own problems, will tend to be reinforced because there's nothing to neutralize it, where other people neutralize us. So you may be not feeling good, but then you hang out with someone who's very optimistic and very happy. You feel better, isn't it? You may be fearful about something, then you're with someone who doesn't have that fear. Your fear tends to go away. So association tends to neutralize, isn't it? Neutralize our own weaknesses. It's kind of like, cold day when the sun comes out, it warms up. So you have to get some sun in your life, which is different from the clouds that you're normally in. And then things will change. And so how do you help people? Help them create better environments. One time, a disciple of Radha Swami was asking about doing different kinds of programs. Should we do this program, that program? And Maharaj made a very good point. He said, it actually doesn't matter what the program is, just do programs, because the point of the programs is for devotees to associate. So whatever the plea of the program, You can just, sometimes we make up festivals, like the Festival of the Holy Name. Where's that on the calendar? What holiday is that? It isn't. Japa workshop, we're doing it on this day. What festival day is that? No, it's a facility, a sadhana retreat. It's a facility to associate. Association is so important. So the principle of having festivals and special programs, home programs, whatever it is just for association, so that we don't rot away within our own weaknesses, which tend to magnify when we don't get good association. And then create that environment, create that good association in your life, and you'll be okay. Gopinath says, I don't think having a PhD is a bad thing. Knowledge works to help people. See, that's a relative statement. Gopinath is saying that generally amongst educated people, if more people are educated, the world tends to be better. They tend to have better qualities. They can create a better world, smarter people, which is true. At the same time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, the more you become educated, the more you become foolish. So then when we're looking at it from a spiritual perspective, it's different than looking at it from a material perspective. So is having a PhD a good thing or a bad thing? It's not either one. Ultimately, it depends who you are and what you do with it. Prabhupada would say, if you're not a devotee, then whatever you have is misused. Even though what you have is good, it's misused. So it's like we could rephrase this, Gopinath, and say, I could say, all these rich people, they just want to, spend their money and buy a BMW and Mercedes. Of course, in Germany, BMW and Mercedes, it's not a big thing, because it's just a normal German car. But for us in America, or maybe in Chile, he's got a BMW, must be rich. Yeah, in Germany, BMWs are taxis and Mercedes are taxis. But you know what I'm saying? You say, so I might be saying, we just want to make money so we can buy a nice car and a nice home. And then someone says, well, there's nothing wrong with a nice car and a nice home. And it's true, there is nothing wrong with it. And there's also nothing right with it in and of itself. It just depends how you use it. So then you say, but isn't a Mercedes better than a Chevrolet? And yeah, if you're looking at it materially, yes, it is better. But if you're looking at it spiritually, and someone uses a Chevrolet to distribute books, and someone uses a Mercedes to go out to shop at the mall, the person in the Chevrolet is now better than the Mercedes in that sense, although the Mercedes is a better car. So yeah, PhD is better than being ignorant, but being a devotee with knowledge is, or using your knowledge in Krishna service is better. So if you are not a PhD, but you know Krishna is God and you're a servant, you're better than a PhD. But if you have a PhD and you can use that to influence people, then that's even better. But absolutely, it doesn't matter for your liberation if you have one or not. And it often becomes a detriment, because then you become proud of what you know because you have a PhD and you think all the devotees are stupid. It could be. Not that you would necessarily think, but you could. I mean, you know what it's like when you have knowledge. There's a tendency to become proud and think spiritual people are just, foolish. They just have blind faith, nothing better to do than jump up and down on the street. Show me something better to do than jump up and down the street and I'll do it. I haven't found it yet. I dropped out of university so I could jump up and down on the street. I thought it was a good choice. I was happy jumping up and down. Machudananda Das. I like to call them literal metaphors. Pastimes of Krishna form templates of reality. They're simultaneously literal, but also act as metaphors, sort of like fractal. Inside the original image is infinite permutations of the same pattern, but of a lower order. But I'm a mental speculator. No. As long as we accept the pastimes as reality, you're safe. You won't go to hell. But if we think Krishna's pastimes are mythology, then Prabhupada's going to come and pounce on you. Because then you're ruining the whole Bhagavatam by thinking like that. So Ryan was saying, the other day, you were talking about humility can manifest in depression from self-talk if one isn't very advanced. How we still achieve success spiritually and in our career when I'm thinking, I'm suffering, I don't deserve Krishna, but please help me. If we want to achieve success spiritually and in our career, we want to do that as a service. We want to do that to please Krishna. So if I'm suffering, it actually doesn't matter anymore, because now this is my service for Krishna. And a lot of the doubts that we may have, even the doubt that I don't deserve Krishna's mercy, or that why would Krishna want to help me, and is it okay to pray for help, and all these things. If what I'm doing is in Krishna's service, and I'm doing it for his pleasure, then anything goes at that point. Let's say you think, well, I would like Krishna, please empower me with resources, with intelligence, with ability, even though I don't deserve it, even though I'm not very qualified, but I want to employ this in your service. So as long as that's the mood, you can ask for anything. And accept it humbly in service. As long as that mood is there, then anything can work. So I'm not exactly sure how what you meant by suffering. When I think I'm suffering, yeah. Yeah. Spiritual success. Yeah, but you say, please help me. So we want to be successful spiritually. That's what Prabhupada is asking us to do. If we want to be successful materially, so we can employ that in Krishna service, then that is our service. We want to make that effort. We're detached. Whatever Krishna wants, he'll give it to us. We'll do it as best we can. And, we exist to please Krishna. So that's all that really matters. And then he can, if I exist to please Krishna, he can give me the world or take it away. And it doesn't really matter one way or the other, because my mood is just, I want to serve him, and, whatever you give me or don't give me, it's the same thing. You give me a lot to serve you, you give me little to serve you, I'm still going to serve you best I can. If you think I can use more, you trust me, okay, then you give me more, but I don't take it for my enjoyment. I don't think I deserve it, but I use it. So it doesn't matter if I deserve it or not, I'm using it for Krishna. So if Krishna trusts me, he gives it. And this whole thing, I don't deserve this, but Krishna will use it if you give me. So please help me. And you could say, please help me, but you could also say whatever you want. This is what I want to do this service. I'm praying, but whatever you want to give me, give it to me as you think I need. So you can have that attitude. And if that didn't answer your question, then ask again because it wasn't entirely clear. Krishna Premi says, I've noticed that even some devotees with PhDs somehow become more proud because they feel their academic knowledge makes them superior. There's just two sets of different knowledge, and it all depends on one's attitude. Well, as I've said a million times, and now 1,000,001, anything can make one proud. And knowledge is one of those things that tends to make people proud. And so certainly we should. Oh, there's the song. I thought I uploaded it. If you want to copy it, those are the words of the song I sing. And certainly it's common for people with knowledge to become proud, to feel superior, because they know things that other people don't know. All I would like to say about that is that that's true for anything that you acquire. It could be wealth, it doesn't have to be knowledge. It could be beauty. I'm more beautiful than most people. I'm wealthier than most people. It could be talent. I'm more talented than most people. Obviously, any of those things can cause one to become proud. However, if one is spiritually advanced, nothing will cause one to become proud. That's the beauty of Krishna consciousness. If you're spiritually advanced, there's nothing that can cause you to become proud. And if you're not spiritually advanced, practically everything will cause you to become proud. Even things that you shouldn't be proud of. Even things that shouldn't make you proud because they're not that great. So there's a need to become honored. I have this, I want to be honored. I want to be glorified. If that need's there, everything's going to tend to cause you to become proud. If that need's not there, then you can be like the greatest of the greatest of the greatest and remain the humblest of the humblest, which is such a fantastic quality, to be great and remain humble. It's not difficult to be humble when you have nothing to be proud of. It's not a great qualification. It's a great qualification when you have much to be proud of and you remain humble. So if you gain knowledge and you become proud of it, that's just a red flag. And it's not necessarily because of the knowledge. It's really deeper. It's because I have this need to show my superiority or to think I'm better. And it's just showing me that I have that tendency. But at the same time, Prema Mayi, it may be that you actually do know more, and you're just stating a fact. You know, sometimes someone talks about something, and I've really studied it, and I think they don't really understand it as well as I do. I could explain it better, and I don't think of that because I'm proud. I just think, well, I've studied it, and they haven't. And if they had studied it as much as I have, they would understand what I understand. So it's not a qualification on my part, it's circumstantial. So that can be there. Okay. All right. So we have anything else? Yeah. The more I learn, the more I realize I have more to learn. Yeah. Even a pauper will be proud of his penny. Hare Krishna. That's scary, right? Just as Ryan says, yeah, just the concept of what I think I become. Thinking I'm suffering over and over adds to the momentum of suffering, not necessarily. Coming from a place of service, this more definitely helps. You know, suffering, the concept of suffering in Krishna consciousness is repeated birth and death. So I'm in this cycle of repeated birth and death. So I'm definitely suffering that. I'm in a body which doesn't always feel so great. And I have a mind that's not always my friend. So in that sense, we're suffering. But Krishna consciousness is blissful. So you can be suffering as a intellectual reality, but your existential experience is bliss, chanting, dancing, and so on. So maybe that will help you. And if that doesn't help, we'll talk more about it later. Because now it's time to chant, chant, chant. Everybody chant Hare Krishna. Okay. So we will officially end right now. Ecto trin, tin, uno, dos, tres, 1, 2, 3, class is over.